Alright, let's talk about what we know for sure. BioWare made the Dungeons & Dragons RPGs Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 back in the late 90s, early 2000s. These games were big hits, but BioWare moved on to developing other games like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, and Dragon Age. This left Baldur's Gate's story abandoned for 2 decades until a company that was basically built on improving everything that BioWare did took over and created the masterpiece that is Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur Studios is not your average game developer. Everyone knows they could have just made more Baldur's Gate and basically been printing money. But they have moved on to make something new, which we over here are hoping is Divinity 3. The world fell in love with these Baldur's Gate characters, with that writing, and with that one-of-a-kind cast. Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, the owners of Baldur's Gate, are probably in love with free money. So you can be sure they're looking at all the game studios out there and asking the same question we're asking today. What developers should carry on that legacy and make Baldur's Gate 4? And look, if we're being realistic, you know the most likely answer to this is BioWare. They created the franchise and they are the founding fathers of the cinematic RPG style that Larian perfected. But we all know the situation BioWare is in. They had back-to-back struggles with Armageddon and Anthem, and they have a long way to go to get back to the lofty position they once held as one of gaming's best studios. They have a new Dragon Age right around the corner and a new chapter in the beloved Mass Effect series coming right after that, so while it's possible they could take on another Baldur's Gate after Mass Effect 5, let's assume they are too busy for now. The studio that could likely most faithfully keep the Dungeons & Dragons CRPG roots would be Owlcat Games, whose Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous brings a very familiar style of RPG to fantasy players. They know how to adapt a video game to a tabletop rule set, and they know how to make that game exciting in the way that purists of the genre love to see. But let's not pretend that the fans of BG3 are all purists of the genre. That game was so successful because so many of the people that love it, they aren't big CRPG gamers. It might have been their first one. What they were really big fans of was those characters. So, who else could step up and continue the story of Shadowheart and Will and Karlach and Lae'zel? Well, me personally, I think Firaxis could do a great job with it. Now hear me out. The cast and the writers can be hired on for a new project with any developer, so let's assume that the narrative is going to be just as quality as BG3's was. If you're going to continue with the deep turn-based tactical gameplay of BG3, then nobody currently does that better than XCOM developer Firaxis. They practically invented the way in which modern turn-based strategy games are played. And if you're one of the real ones who gave Marvel's Midnight Suns a chance, then you know they took great care in getting the characters and interpersonal stories right. Alright, but what if we say it's okay to change genres for BG3? We keep the deeply cinematic and choice-based story, but we approach combat in a different way entirely. In that case, I think any of Sony's flagship studios can take over Baldur's Gate and do it justice. The storytelling in Sony's heavy hitters like God of War, Horizon, The Last of Us, and Ghost of Tsushima is without equal in gaming today. And so many people didn't want to try BG3 because it was turn-based. What about if it was more action? I'm not saying go full Ragnarok, but somewhere in the middle. Ponder the possibilities. What developer would you guys love to see make a BG4? Square? Nintendo? Atlas? Are you down with a change in genre as long as the story is there? Tell me all about it in the comments below. But nobody write FromSoft. Nobody's trying to play Bloodborne as Gale. See you next time.